An important small detail is just how you let him out of the crate. You want him to wait, and he will wait. Free. He never really gave me a problem with that, so I assume you have practiced that at home already. But that's a really good thing to do, just so that your walk starts out on a good note. So in terms of putting on all of his equipment, I recommend keeping the e-collar on during the day, even if he's like out and you're working with him. He doesn't need to have it on in the crate or when he's in the pen. So you want to make sure that he doesn't learn to be what's called collar wise, making sure that he knows the rules are always the same. If he's chasing the cat, he's always going to get a vibrate. And that kind of thing. So they can learn that if they only have this leash or flat leash or whatever, that the rules are different. So this is how you prevent that, by having the e-collar on, even if you don't intend to use it that day. So, all right, let's go on our walk. So it's also a good idea to do this at the landings. That way your dog is paying attention. See if I can keep him in the frame, because he usually sits over there. That way you know that your dog is still actually paying attention. They're not just barging through and not really thinking. So you're starting your walk off on a very good note. Okay. So when you're walking, you want to make sure, like I said, that your slip lead is up pretty high and tight. That way you're going to have kind of the fastest mode of communication with him. So let's go is going to be your command for walking. And he should be right about here, just kind of moseying along beside you. Say you want to have him go to the bathroom, free. Because that way it's going to be very clear to him when he's supposed to be heeling with you and when he's allowed to sniff and do his own thing. And so he's not deciding, oh, I really have to go to the bathroom now. When he's sick, of course, I let him do that and let him do his business before we start walking. But if you're just having like a casual walk and everything is good, then I recommend having a break like that about every block or so is fair, I think. So he's got to walk with me at my pace, and then he also gets his breaks to sniff and do his business. Okay, so I wanted to go to this nice shady part of the neighborhood to work with him and explain a couple things. All right, Bo, sit. Yes. So when you're training with this kind of system that I use, you have a couple ways to get your dog to do something. So you can reward, you can use pressure and reward, or you can just pressure the dog into a command. So what I mean by that is, for example, hey Bo, down. This one's still a struggle. So this would be using pressure to get him to do a command, in theory. Oh, come on. Down. Good. Oh. Good. So that was pressure and reward. Bo. Good boy. Sit. Sit. Bo, come. Yes. Good boy. What a good boy, Bo. So that would be reward. So you have a couple different options. Which one you use, honestly, just kind of depends on what works for him. I find the pressure tends to work the best for the down at this point, because even if you have a treat, it's pretty much the same, honestly. So I would rather have him do the behavior first, and then we can reward him for it. So for example, like this, he broke the sit, and I would just put him back where he's supposed to be. You definitely don't want to continue repeating commands like sit, 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 because then your command is going to become, all right, she says sit 5 times, she starts sounding kind of angry, and then I guess I have to put my butt on the ground. So you want it to just be sit, and then he does the command. Okay, free. Good boy. His off-leash heeling is really nice, actually. Once he's like connected with you and paying attention, he's just on it. He just wants to stay with you. Let's go. Hey, that's the wrong side. Let's go. Come on. Yes. Okay. So for leave it, for example, sit. Good. Sit. So you have 2 buttons on your e-collar. It's going to be explained in the e-collar video. The T button is vibrate. I think in my video I may have had it set to tone, but now I've kind of shifted to using the vibrate feature for leave it or no, counter surfing, stuff like that, just things that they're really not supposed to do. This is your no button, the side that only has 1 button. So, all right, let's go. Oh, what a good boy. Sit. Didn't even give me a chance to practice leave it. We'll see. Free. He's like, I know I'm not supposed to, which is fine. That's exactly what we want. So we're not going to correct him when he's doing the right thing, obviously. Yes. Good boy, Bo. Good boy. Food's actually right here. It's like, can I have it, please? Sure. After that kind of performance, you can have whatever you want. Good boy. So you notice I still reward him. I would recommend rewarding anywhere from like 50% to 25% of the time at minimum, because that's going to keep it worth it for him. If he realizes that it's just not in his interest anymore to do a command, he's not going to do it. But if you keep him guessing, then he's pretty motivated. Sit. Good boy. Nice job, buddy. And he likes praise as well, so that's a reward to him. Bo, come. Yes. And you can talk to him, like when he's coming to you, how I clapped my hands and said yes. You want him to be happy to come to you. So kind of like when he doesn't want to come in from the yard, it's probably because he thinks it's more fun out there than it is inside. So if he's always being called to do something he doesn't want to do, he's probably not going to do it. Because in essence, that's more punishing to him, like on the scale of like things he likes versus things he doesn't like. Okay, place. All right, you want the little tiny one? Bo, place. Good. All right, I'm gonna put this one up. So the other thing that will help, I think, with the teeth clacking, which I think is probably just due to over arousal, like he tends to do it when he gets really excited. It's just a stress response. Like there are 2 kinds of stress, eustress and distress. Distress obviously being bad type of stress that causes you anxiety. But even eustress, like excited feelings or just like, woohoo, that's still stress. So I think it manifests that way. Like when he just doesn't know what to do with himself, he clacks his teeth. So telling him exactly what he should be doing in various situations is going to help a lot. So I'm going to do a little work on the computer. I'm going to have him on place, and I'll be able to correct him either with my body language or the e-collar if he decides to move, which I don't think he's going to because he freaking loves place. So the other thing too is you always want to make sure you have a way to either correct or reward your dog for anything you ask them to do. Don't be in a situation where your dog only has the flat collar on and he's out in the yard and you're just calling, Bo, come, come, come. You don't have a way to influence his behavior if he doesn't come, or if he does come and you don't have anything to give him, or even just release him back into the environment, which is where he wants to be anyway. You have to have some, way of influencing his behavior, whether it goes the way you want or if it doesn't go the way you want. So that brings a lot of clarity to dogs, and clarity reduces anxiety, reduces stress. And in terms of what order you put on all these training devices, the training collar, whatever you have the leash attached to, is always going to go on top of all your other collars. E-collar can be either in the middle or it can be under the flat collar. And the flat collar is really just to hold your tags. If you clip the leash to the flat collar, it's essentially the same as being off leash because you have that much control of where he goes with it. So whether you're using the head halter function or the slip lead, and remember there's two ways to put on the head halter. You can either do it like a loop, like this, big loop. This figure 8 goes under his chin, little loop, and then make sure this stopper fastens it in between his ears, like that. Or you can make the loops and then put it on, so like this. And then you just put it on. That way you're able to do it really fast if you need to. But he walks perfectly fine and very attentively on just the slip lead, so that's fine. I do recommend having him on leash, even in the house, for at least a week, just so if he decides to test the boundaries of behaviors he used to do, like chasing the cat or deciding not to come, then you have a way to influence his behavior and make sure that he does the command that you're asking him to do.